Hey, what's up everybody? Quick little lesson video today. I get a lot of comments and questions all the time in lessons asking me about this, so I thought I'd just make a video. So today we're going to go over a bunch of the chord shapes in open positions. First we're going to talk a little bit about the theory of sus chords, what they are, what makes them work, why they're useful, and why would you want to know about them. Later on in the video I'm going to take you through a whole bunch of chord shapes. So if you just want to skip ahead to that, go right ahead. But first we're going to dive into what actually is a sus chord. So at its most basic, any major chord is made up of three notes, the root, third, and fifth of the scale, plucked out and stacked on top of each other to make a major chord. So for the key of C, for example, we'd have the notes C, E, and G, which sounds like this. C, E, G, just those three notes. That's a C chord. In a sus chord, all we're doing is taking the third note, in this case E, and raising it up a half step to an F. So we've got root, fourth, and fifth together. So that sounds like this. So here's the original C major. Here's the C sus. So another name for this is also sus4. You're replacing the third with the fourth note of the scale. Interestingly, there is another chord called a sus2, where you change the third of the chord down to the second note, so you get root, second, fifth. And that sounds like this. In this case, we'd have C, D, G. Here's the C major. And the C sus2. So if we just say C sus, that's assumed that it's talking about the sus4, not the sus2. You have to specify if you want the added second in there by saying sus2. So that's kind of what the chord is. So there's a couple things to break down when we talk about their actual use and function in music. First thing is that way back in the day, the idea behind these chords was that they would suspend the resolution of the one chord, right? So we'd hear like G, we'd hear like a 5 chord at the end of a phrase, we'd go C, G, G7, and then we'd hear the C sus, and then it would resolve. So you might hear a phrase like this. So it had this kind of like delayed resolution to the one chord. Nowadays, we kind of like the sound of these sus chords as their own standalone sound, not necessarily like in that chord progression leading to a C. We might just play C sus because it sounds cool. Kind of has this like open longing kind of vibe to it, right? So we can use them like that as their own specific sounds, or we can use them to get a little more mileage and add a little flavor to just the plain C. So say you had 4 measures of C chord, and you're just hanging out in your tune. Instead of just chilling on the C chord, we could take that C sus sound and stick it in there just to add a little bit of motion in there to keep it like flowing, keep a little bit of forward momentum going, and just keep a little bit of interest in our ears. So check this out. Pretty cool, right? It can just keep a simple chord progression sounding interesting by adding a little bit of extra spice to it. So let's go through all these shapes in open position chords. We're going to start with sus4. So C sus, I've already kind of shown you, sounds like this. Okay, what about an A chord? Well, A, we've got this, and then the sus is here, adding pinky. Okay, what about a G? So for a G sus this is actually kind of an interesting one. We gotta play a normal G, but with these 3 fingers. So it'd be like this. And then we add our first finger on the 2nd string 1st fret. Looks like this. Okay. Nice, right? Okay, for E, we're gonna take our regular E major. We're gonna add our pinky on the 3rd string 2nd fret. So check it out. Here's the normal E. Here's the E sus. I particularly like this one too. It sounds so good. And last but not least, check it out. This might be the easiest first one that a lot of people learn on the D major chord. So we got our D. It's like a triangle shape, right? We can add our pinky on the high string 3rd fret. So then we got this kind of vibe. A couple of these we could also add the sus2 on, but it doesn't work on every one of these shapes because the 2nd isn't easily available, or there's not an easy fingering to do them. But on the C chord we could make it a sus2 just by taking out our middle finger, so it sounds like this. On the A chord we could do the same thing by taking out our ring finger and just playing the middle 2 strings. It's almost like an E minor shape, but on the middle strings. Has a real nice like Radiohead kind of vibe. On the E chord we can't really do that because if we just lift up the 3rd, that gives us an E minor, right? And so there's no easy way to do that. Same thing on the G, there's no easy way to do that without like some other trickery business going on. But on the D chord we can also add the sus2 by taking out our middle finger from the D and just playing the open string on the top. So it sounds like this. Here's the normal D. Here's the sus2. This also works kind of nicely on an F chord. Here's the regular F. This middle finger note is the 3rd. So we could add our pinky on the 3rd fret, 3rd string, and get the F sus. And then if we take our middle finger out, we're getting this sus2 with the open G string. So on the C, D, A, and F chords, you can also add the sus2. So on that group of chords, a nice way to practice them is to do the regular chord and practice going up to the sus, back to the regular chord, down to the sus2, back to the regular chord, right? So for D, for the A, for the C, here's the F. Those also work really great as hammer-ons, right? So like for instance, maybe we're doing a progression like this that goes D minor, F, C, A minor. Well, check this out. Anyway, I hope you guys have a lot of fun messing around with this. Part 2 of this video is going to be how we can apply the same concept to some more advanced chord shapes up the neck, bar chords, things like that. So stick around, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate the support. So thank you guys, hope you have a great New Year's, and talk to you soon. Peace.